anyway, so.
Okay,
Oh,
I'll mute myself. I want to just make sure my shoulder's not in here.
all right, people are starting to come in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So as people are coming in here, I'm just gonna say a little hello. Welcome to our Take a Break Before You Break Part 2. So I guess we took a break before we did our Part 2. So we're taking everything into account here. It is 12:56. We're gonna start promptly at 1 o'clock. So we will be able to be conscious of everybody's time and start right at 1 o'clock. So everybody that's coming in, come on in. If you have not been here before, don't feel bad. I use this quite frequently, and I learned something new today that I'm going to share with everyone. So that will help people, I believe. All right. So come on in, get yourself situated, get comfortable. This is going to take about an hour. Actually, an hour on the nose is what Breeda has been planning for. I still see more people coming in. So this is nice. I see some familiar names that people that have been here before. So that's nice. So it's 12:57. We'll start promptly at 1 o'clock. If you're just coming in, this will take an hour. And we're going to go through some ground rules in the beginning to talk about how this works and kind of what to expect, how to communicate with us. That's always a good one. Breeda asked some good questions throughout this presentation too that we're going to ask that you would use the chat function as we go through, and I'm going to walk you through how to do that so you're familiar with the buttons that are on the screen and how to move it around and those kinds of things. And we're going to say this a couple times, but we are recording this so we can send it to you as an attendee, but also we can send it to you and then you can share it with other people that you think it might find it interesting. We'll put it on our YouTube channel and those kinds of things. So it'll be nice to share. So it's 12:58. We still have some people coming in here. And looks like we got a pretty good crowd today. Our webinar series has been doing fairly well, I believe. We have had a lot of people that signed up for all the sessions, and some people have attended all of them so far, which is, I think, pretty fun. We're hoping that we're giving some education here, that it's not completely self-serving for us. We're learning at the same time, quite honestly, with some of the things that Breeda is sharing with us, of even some employees working with their parents and those kinds of things. So it is now 12:59, 1 minute. We're going to start promptly at 1 o'clock, just to be conscious of everyone's time. If you're just coming in, we'll walk through some directions on the screen for you to show you how everything works. And we'll even go through even how to ask us questions and some of those types of things, so we can all communicate and kind of get some of our messages across. And you can see Breeda's got her screen going up there. So once this starts, I will shut my screen off so you don't have to look at me anymore. And you'll be able to start talking with Breeda. All right, so we're still filling in here. We still got people coming in. Looks like it is 1 o'clock. All right, so we are prompted to start at 1 o'clock. We're going to start at 1 o'clock. So my name is James Kelly. I am the Chief Sales and Marketing Officer for United Methodist Retirement Communities and Porter Hills. I've been here for almost 3 years. October will be 3 years, actually. And I've spent my entire life in the senior living field. I've worked all over the country, so I've seen a lot, and I've learned what to do, not only from seeing people do it well, but also seeing what people are doing that I didn't agree with or didn't like. And so that helps us shape and mold the organization. We are United Methodist Retirement Communities in Porter Hills, affiliated back in a year ago, March. So a fairly new affiliation, but I think we're coming together very nicely. Our organizations are very similar. So we share similar ideology about how the organization should be run, how we take care of other people, how the care is provided, and those kinds of things. So a couple little things here. One is we will be recording this. So we can share it with you, you can share it with your family or anybody else that you think might be interested in this presentation. So why don't we start talking about some of the functions on the screen. So here is what I learned just today. On your screen, on the bottom left, I have a mute button and a stop video button, and you do not as an attendee. So you may not even see that. So where you see here on the left of the unmute and start video, you don't have that. What you do have though, which is very important for us, is right in the middle of the screen, you have a little chat button. So if you hit that button, you'll be able to write us a message. So I'm going to write, welcome to everyone. So you should have received that. And throughout, and you'll see that little chat gets a little red one next to it, says you have a message. So as we go through this, Breeda is going to be asking you some questions and you'll be able to answer them there. On the top right of the screen is also a little bit of a view, speaker view, and also in the center of the screen, you can change your view a little bit. But Breeda has a really nice way of presenting this today, which is new, so bear with her a little bit. And so without further ado, I think we're going to introduce Breeda here and let her tell you why she's qualified to come and talk to you today and have some fun. So Breeda, off to you.
Hi there. Welcome, everyone. I am so delighted to be here today on this. It is summer, isn't it? I hope it is comfortably warm where you are. It's more than not so comfortable where I am, but I have this, I told James, I have this little fan that is next to my computer here. So if you see any little Beyonce action here, that's why. So it's helping me out a lot. So if you have something to help you keep comfortable, I hope that you have it. My name is Breeda Miller. I am, I've written some books. I call myself a recovering caregiver. I cared for my mom for 8 years in my home, including hospice care. And it was one of the hardest things I've ever done and one of the things that I am most proud of. And everybody has to find different ways about managing this time in life. And I'm so glad that you're here today. I hope that I'm going to be able to share some stories that will help you remember the ideas that I have that I think that can help you. And my overriding message is to take a break before you break. Because if we don't take care of ourselves, if we're a wreck, we're not going to be any good to anyone. And I've learned that the hard way. So today we're going to talk about 3 different areas. One is mindset. It's critical. And there are some days when it's really, really hard to have a positive mindset or to feel that this is something that you can even manage. So we need to find ways, have a little toolbox, if you will, of ways that we can get that mojo. We can find our way through so that we can be our best self. The second thing is to really think about creative ideas that might just be different. You know, one of the things I learned caring for my mom with dementia was that when you're caring for someone with dementia, it's like every day is a day at the Improv without the applause. So if you can be flexible, Gumby is one of my my heroes, that to be flexible is a really important thing to do. But we'll talk about some ideas, and I hope that will be a time that you can share ideas that you've done. How have you found ways to take a break? What are some resources that you know about in your area that I may not know about and that you can share with others? And I really hope you'll be thinking about those, and as we go through the program, jot them down, and then when it's time, I hope that you'll be able to share the wealth of your knowledge and your experience. And then finally, timing. You know, it is all about timing. And we'll talk about that a little bit as well. But first off, I want to share with you a little story. You know, I was my mom's caregiver, but there were times when I just got it wrong. I was so caught up in doing all the caregiver things. Do you know what I mean? All the schedules, filling in the pill boxes every Sunday night, making sure the doctor's appointments are in line, and the specialists, and being able to report how she's doing, making sure she's eating, making sure she's drinking, making sure that she's the hygiene issues, just all the kinds of things that you have to do were really important. But what happened was I missed the boat. I forgot what really, really mattered. Now, my mom, she lived with us, and she took her last breath in her own bed. And she didn't have Alzheimer's disease, but she did have congestive heart failure, which led to vascular dementia. And for her, what that meant was her dementia would come and go. So every day was a surprise. I never knew which mom I was going to be spending time with and caring for. Was it going to be my sweet little Irish mom, or was it going to be the frightened stranger who just kept asking to go home? And it was some days when she was in the fog, it was just so hard. And she wasn't always this way. She was this sparkly little Irish lady. She had big green eyes and a great personality. She used to love to just douse herself in Estee Lauder's Youth Dew, like as if it was holy water. She and my dad emigrated from Ireland and raised 4 sons and me, the only daughter here in America. And they were living the American dream. And my mom, she, when I think about her, she wasn't a great cook, not a fancy cook, but she knew how to bake. And she could bake scones and Irish soda bread with her eyes closed. Her brown bread was legendary, but it was her apple pie that was her claim to fame. And she had these magic fingers. She could take, a scoop of flour and a stick of butter and make this very delicate, flaky pastry that never was I able to master. It was just something that was beyond me. But she was very proud of this. And, when she would start baking pies, the neighbors would mysteriously show up just at the right time to get a slice of pie. And when she became a US citizen, I remember that she said she made the big concession to being in America. She decided she needed to make her recipe an all-American apple pie by adding cinnamon to the recipe. This was a big deal because in Ireland, apparently, it's more of an Irish apple tart, and they don't use cinnamon, or she didn't. So the other thing my mom was really particular about was her tea. She loved a good cup of tea. And she taught me that it was essential, that you have a good rolling boil. And the blasphemy of restaurant tea, that's how she started drinking coffee. She just couldn't bear it. And she told me that to never forget that you needed a nice squatty teapot, and you had to fill it with the boiling water, swoosh it around, then dump it out before you made the actual tea. And the other important things were a tea cozy to keep it warm, and a china cup was essential because tea just tasted better in a china cup. So she really enjoyed life, and it was really hard to watch her decline. She was this very active little lady, the type of woman that you would see, walking 3 miles in her little white Reeboks. But as she declined, she lost her balance so much, and she had to use a walker. She could not take a single step without a death grip on this walker. And soon she wasn't able to do much of anything for herself. And it was just so hard. And I remember the day that she realized she could not even make herself a cup of tea. And it was just really, really sad. So I watched her decline, and I took care of her the best that I could. And I was in frequent contact with her doctor, and we realized that we needed to call hospice for some help, and they were fabulous. But we also knew that we weren't going to have her much longer. And then we thought, what we should do? Let's not wait for an official holiday. Let's make a celebration, because my brothers lived out of state. And so the idea was that they would come to our home, and we would have a party to celebrate Mom. It seemed like a really good idea at the time, right? Well, the reality was not only would I have to feed and entertain my brothers and their families, but I still had to take care of mom and my own family. We lived in a big old farmhouse. We had 3 teenagers, at various stages of immaturity, 2 dogs. My husband worked midnights. I had a pesky day job. I had an office in my home so that I was able to take care of my 85-year-old mother with dementia 24/7. And we were going to have a big party. What could go wrong, right? Well, my brothers were really excited about coming. They called mom to say they couldn't wait to see her and for everyone to be together. And my brother Donna called and said to mom he was so looking forward to it and he couldn't wait for a slice of her delicious apple pie. And that was when things went south. From that moment on, she never stopped talking about making the apple pie. Are we making the apple pie today? The boys love my pie. Every day, all day, for weeks. And the thing is, I didn't inherit my mom's ability to make pie. I'm not good at it. I mean, the few times that I have attempted to make pie, it has not ended well. I mean, like a gray, gooey, sticky mass, and it was very salty, from the tears. And my kids, they know what a conniption looks like. Yeah, they've seen it. Anyway, so I called my brother and I said, what were you thinking? Don't you know that she just hasn't let up? She's obsessed with making this pie for you guys. I don't know what I'm going to do. I can't take it anymore. And she's not able to make pie anymore. That means I have to make the pie. And I can't make pie. I'm not good at pie. I don't even like pie. And he said to me, Breeda, don't worry. I'll bring the pie. It'll be fine. Don't worry about it. So, and he said he would call her. So he called her and she was fine with that for a while. And the day of the party rolled around and I'm vacuuming and cleaning and getting everything in order. And she comes up and says, are we making the pie now? And at that precise moment, my brother opens the side door and walks in with a cardboard box and with a pie in it. A cardboard box with a plastic window at the top and the words Kroger on the side. And to add insult to injury, a big orange sticker that said half off. Well, my mom was appalled. She would not take a single bite of this store-bought pie. And then my brother thinks he's going to make it better and says, oh, but mom, it's delicious. It tastes just like your pie. Now, she might have dementia, but she still knows good pie. Anyway, we were able to divert her and we avoided Piegate. They all left and the next day I'm cleaning up. I was wiped out. I was just exhausted. And mom says, when are we making the pie? Is today the day for the pie? And I'm shocked. And I said, but mom, the boys have already been here. We're going, oh, but I love pie. The boys love the pie. She was now obsessed with making the pie. And every day she would ask me about making the pie and I would try to divert her, change the subject. I'd be loading stuff into the washer and I would hear the rumble of her walker down the hallway and I would hear the voice. Did you get the right apples? I like the Granny Smiths, Are we making the pie? It was getting to me. And I knew that I just couldn't deal with it anymore. I was so exhausted. I wasn't sleeping at night. I was really worried about, what's going to happen now. The hospice is helping me, but I'm kind of freaking out because I've never been through this before. And I was so stressed out. I just couldn't take it. And I thought if I hear about apple pie one more time, I could go before her. And I realized that for the first time in my life, I needed professional help. So I got the name of a counselor. I made a phone call, made an appointment. And the first thing he says to me is, so why have you come? And the floodgates opened. I just let it all out. And I said, you have no idea how stressed out I am, how exhausted I am. I'm just, it's relentless. Every single day I have so many things to do and I am just so burned out. I am tired. I felt like I was the poster child for a burned out, stressed out, exhausted caregiver. And I said, I just can't handle it anymore. I'm so sick of taking care of everybody. And now my mom wants to make pie. She's asking about making pie every day. I'm not good at pie. I don't know how to make pie. I don't even like pie. I don't know what to do. And he looked at me in that very calm, reassuring way. And he put down his pad of paper and his pen. And he leaned in and he said, Breeda, you got to make the damn pie. Well, he said, I know you're tired. I know you're exhausted, but get the ingredients, pick a date on the calendar, write it down, tell your mom you're going to make the pie, and then just do it. You won't regret it. Fine. So I did it. I bought the ingredients. The day rolled around. I laid them all out on the counter. I put an apron on mom and one on myself, and I handed her her favorite paring knife. And the thing is, my mom didn't believe in apple peelers. And she tried to peel the apple. And it reminded me of when I was a little girl, how she used to take those same magic fingers and curl my long brown hair into ringlets and then set it with bobby pins. And when she would peel the apple, it would be in one long, unbroken ribbon of apple peel. She wasn't able to do that any longer, but she made some good attempts at the apple. But I kept helping her. I finished peeling the rest of the apples, then I sliced them according to her direction. And then we put all the ingredients into the bowl, and I gave her the wooden spoon, and she was able to give it a good stir. And then we had to deal with the dreaded pastry. So she told me, how to flip it and fold it. And I got the rolling pin out, and I was rolling it forward and rolling it sideways and giving it a few whacks. There was flour everywhere. It was all over me. It was on the table, on the counter, on the floor, on the dough. I looked like the Pillsbury Doughboy. And I was able to get it to an acceptable thickness, lay it in the pie plate, and then we had to arrange the apple slices just so. And as we're laying the slices in the pie crust, our fingers touched. And it reminded me of when I was a little girl and I was practicing my Irish step dancing lessons, and my mom showed me how to hold my arms just straight at my sides loosely and point my toe, just as she had been taught. And then I wrestled the lid, the top crust on, and I used the little knife and I trimmed all the edges. And then she asked me for a few pieces of scrap dough. And she cut out 3 little leaves, put them on the top of the pie crust. We baked it, didn't burn it. It was good. Took it out of the oven, put it on the table. And the look on her face was something. She was so proud. And so she was able to eat a few bites of pie, and she had a sip of tea in her china cup. And she looked at me and she said, "This is the best pie I've ever made." And I felt so ashamed. How could I have gotten so far off track? How did I miss this? That I was so consumed with being the caregiver and doing all the things that I couldn't see myself taking the time to do something that I didn't even realize how important it was to her. And I'm just so grateful that I got called out before it was too late. And that therapist told me what I needed to do. So I guess what I want to say to you is that when you get caught up in being a caregiver and you get burned out and exhausted and tired, because you will, and when the person in your care just keeps asking to do something over and over again, and you know that they will, that you can find a way to just put things aside and to find the strength within you to just do it. Because the gift that I got that day, I will never forget. And the gift was I could stop being her caregiver and I could be Mary Kelly's daughter. And that's a gift that I hope that we can talk about today, about how do you find ways to take care of yourself so that when you don't miss opportunities and that you don't have regrets. So regardless of the situation, the circumstance that you're in as a caregiver, whether you are caring for your loved one in your own home, whether you are caring for them long distance, whether you're caring for them in their home, whether they are living in an assisted living facility or a memory care facility, whatever the situation is, that when you have these opportunities to step outside perhaps the business of the things that you have to do and focus on what's really important. So that's the framework that I want to share with you today, where I'm coming from and what my experience has been. And I really hope that you're going to find some good specific ideas today that are going to help you. But more importantly, it's about your mindset and being able to do these things. So why does it matter? Why does it matter? You know, caregivers are good at lots of things, but they're really bad at taking care of themselves. So many times people tell me, you know, yeah, I know I'm supposed to do all that, but I feel like it's one more thing that I have to do. And it's one more thing on my to-do list to feel guilty about, you know, to get more sleep and to eat well and to get some exercise and to find ways to take care of yourself. And I get that, and I know how hard it is, but I'm telling you, the value, the benefit that you receive is going to be well worth it. So let's explore that a little bit more. So why does it matter? Number one, you have to recognize the reality of the situation. Recognize your own limitations. Recognize your resources. And recognize that some days are going to be better than others. And if you wake up every day presuming you got some sleep the night before, okay, just saying. But if you recognize the reality of the situation, you know, some things are just not fixable. Alzheimer's disease is not fixable. And if you try to bring your loved one into your reality, you're setting yourself up for frustration. You're setting your loved one up for even more frustration. And so it's very, very important to understand that piece of the puzzle. Understanding the consequences. The apple pie story is something that, you know, people, I've shared this a time or two before, and people have told me that they didn't think of it that way. They didn't think about the consequences when they push things aside, when they push opportunities aside that maybe they could do. So I like to think of it as a cautionary tale. Understand the consequences of getting too exhausted, too burned out, too, you know, it's not noble. I have some friends who their style is to tell you how busy and how exhausted they are because I think they wear it as a badge of honor and that they feel that it's lazy to take a nap or that, oh, I could never go to a movie. Well, you can't do that right now, but I can't take an afternoon to go for a walk at the, you know, at a beach or something like that because, you know, mom's at home or mom can't go. And I would just be selfish if I did something like that for myself. Another thing, and really that is the point, is no regrets. Is that the things you do, the decisions you make, if you make them based on love, you won't have regrets. Trust me, there were many, many days that I wish I could get a redo, a do-over on. There are days that I was not the caregiver I wish I had been. But when I look back, it was because I wasn't my best self. I was trying to do too much. I was not reaching out and asking for help, and I wasn't taking the time to take care of myself. So those are really important issues. So let's talk about mindset. Mindset is where it all starts. If you feel that you are a victim, if you feel there is nothing you can do, if you feel that you don't deserve to have these positive experiences in your life, you're not going to be successful. You're not going to be able to do it. So it's very important that you get your mindset going. This is the most valuable real estate that you own, right up here, because that sets the tone for how you respond, how you react, and then the choices, decisions that you make that can be really proactive. So one of the things that I think about, I have my three kids are now young adults, and my youngest, well, actually my eldest had a lot of surgeries. My eldest, when he was a toddler, he had to have a surgery on something that was not life threatening. It wasn't a big deal, but all my kids are adopted. And one of the questions that they would always ask us was family history about anesthesia. I didn't know. And I was terrified. What if there's something that I don't know that is a genetic or a hereditary thing? And on top of having a procedure, I had that worry. Well, anyway, I was particularly wrung out over this, in hindsight, minor procedure that my son had to have at a major children's hospital. And the surgeon, he was very kind, but he taught me a really important lesson. And he did do this in a nice way. We're sitting in the recovery area, and there are these big lazy boy lounge chairs, and people are holding their children as they are recovering or waking up from procedures. And he looked at me, and he could see I was really strung out. And he said, Daniel's going to be fine. This is a fixable problem. Not everybody here has fixable problems. And I thought, he's so right. This was a fixable problem. It was annoying. It was painful. It was expensive, but it was fixable. Not everything is. So I try to now to divide things that I have to deal with. Is it fixable? What do I need to do? How much time is it going to take? How expensive is it? What are my choices? What is the best choice? Or is it manageable? And even when it seems like it's not manageable, maybe you can find a way to cope. You can find a way to manage. And I certainly put Alzheimer's disease in that category, and other dementias. So think about that. Then think about, in terms of mindset, what is your goal? My goal when I was caring for my mom, number one, was to make sure she was safe and to maintain her dignity. Another goal was to just have a good day. And the definition of that when you're a caregiver is like, Mom drank an entire thing of water today. Yay. That was a good day. Or, we had a laugh. We watched a video and she really enjoyed it. That was a good day. So think about what your goals are as they relate to the reality of your circumstance, of your situation. And not to have goals that are set by other people or that set you up for unrealistic expectations. And then finally, I like to say, pull an Elsa, let it go. I'm not going to sing, don't worry, but let it go. Lower your standards. I mean, I was never a brilliant housekeeper. I've said it, there you go. But I realized that there's plenty of time to vacuum. And my baseboards, there will be times, after when we knew, so Mom wasn't a great driver. She never got her driver's license, but she was never a great walker driver. And we lovingly called her Crash Cartwright with that walker, because it was like she was going into the bathroom, ramming speed into all the trim and the molding in our house bore the marks of that. And, once we realized that's the way it was and that she was not going to get any better at this, we said, there will come a time when we can replace the molding or we can paint, but that's not the most important thing right now. So we let it go. And we had pretty rough looking molding in our house for a long time, but it was an important decision to make, because we could get upset about it. We weren't going to be able to change it. So if there are things that are getting you upset, maybe you can find ways to let them go. So what to do? What should you do when you want to think about, how can I possibly find ways that I can take a break before I break? So I'd like you to think about it. What are some ideas that you have? And I have some ideas for you. Don't worry, you don't have to come up with them on your own. But if you have ideas and you want to put them in the chat, we'll get to those just in a couple of minutes. But I want to lead you to another piece. Here's a few suggestions that'll kind of get the ball rolling here for us. My favorite thing to do, mostly because there's no missing parts. You don't have to find them anywhere. Play some mind games. Play some mind games with yourself. And I shared this last time. It's one of my favorites. And if you're, I'd love to hear in the chat if you used this idea. But for folks who weren't here for part one, it's called mental bingo. So when people are doing things that really annoy you and irritate you, in your head, come up with a bingo card. It's really important that it stays mental. I don't want you to be subpoenaed. You know, I want no evidence of this. So don't put this on paper. Don't put it on your computer. Not good. So put either the behavior that they do many times. Now, for example, my mom used to have this little song that she would sing to her little Yorkshire Terrier. And she would sing it to him when people would come over. And it drove me nuts. It was a silly little song that she would sing, but people would be forced to sit and listen to it. I would have to leave the room, right? Until the day that I decided that I'm going to put Toby's song in one of the boxes. And then when inevitably she would say she was going to sing Toby's song, I would check it off. And so instead of it getting under my skin, I would say, oh, okay, there's a check off. And when I checked it off 5 times, I got to say bingo. It was strangely satisfying. What can I say? Cheap thrill. So if there are behaviors or things that people do that are in your care or that you live with or that you work with, create your own mental bingo card. It's a way for you to control your own response. I was not going to be able to stop my mom from singing that silly song. She loved it. The dog he looked at me, the dog, I don't think the dog liked it either. Anyway, think about those things. What can you do? So that's one thing. Creative mind games. There are, I'm trying to remember now another one that I love to do. Mostly it's about being flexible. You know, my mother-in-law, she came over and she did have Alzheimer's, and we were providing respite care for my sister-in-law. And my mother-in-law was just a sweet, sweet woman. And she was in the later stages of Alzheimer's and didn't remember who we were. And we were sitting on the couch, and I gave her a laundry basket filled with face cloths and small towels. And I asked her if she would help me. I had so much to do. Could she fold these? So she loved it. And she sat there and she folded all the face cloths and the dish towels. And we were talking, and she looked at me and she said, I don't know who you are, but I know I like you. And it was one of the greatest compliments I've ever gotten. I was so delighted. That said, I'm her daughter-in-law, and I had an understanding of where she was at in terms of her dementia. When she told her daughters, one of her daughters, that she wasn't sure who she was, or she didn't know who she was, her daughter was heartbroken and took it personally and felt really upset about it. And so I was in a different spot, in a different relationship. So give yourself permission to let things go, to recognize that to not take it personally. So that's another idea there. Another thing that I want to talk about is the idea of micro breaks. So many times people say, well, Breeda, yeah, these are great ideas, you know, to go do stuff and take care of myself. When am I supposed to do that? I don't have time. There's nobody coming in here. And particularly now with COVID, I can't get people to come in and give me respite. I can't get somebody to come in for half a day. It's just me. And how am I possibly going to take a break and go somewhere or do something? And I get that. Now, if you are working in a senior care facility or you are a home family caregiver, there are ways that you can think of them as micro breaks. It's a shorter commitment. So maybe it is 5 minutes or 10 minutes every single day at a certain time. So maybe it's first thing in the morning. Ideally, you could do this a couple of times a day. midday, in the afternoon, that you get yourself a nice beverage, cup of tea, cup of coffee, other beverages, no judgment here, um, and drink it mindfully. One of the things my mom used to say, that why she enjoyed drinking tea so much, hot tea, was that she couldn't just knock it back, that she had to sip it. And so sipping it mindfully and enjoying the feel, the warmth of a cup, make sure you pick a mug that you like, and maybe find a comfy spot that is outside if you're able, or a chair that is in a different room than your loved one, a different space. Physically go to a different room, a different space, a porch, the basement. I have a friend of mine who during COVID, she lives in London. Well, she lives there all the time, but she lives in a 2-bedroom flat with a 7-year-old, very active daughter, and has her own home business. And she couldn't leave. She was in lockdown, could not go anywhere. And the only break she was able to get was she took a bath in the middle of the day. And she was able to set up her daughter with a video or a book or something that she knew she would be safe. And she knew mommy was taking a bath and would not be disturbed. And it was 20 minutes, half an hour maybe, where she could take this break. And she said it was a godsend. So the idea is you have to be proactive. You have to think about things that are going to make you feel good, that you're able to do in your circumstance. Maybe it's taking a nap. On your phone, you can set an alarm and say, Siri, or whomever, set the alarm for 15 minutes or 20 minutes and lay down. Put an eye mask, a different kind of mask, an eye mask, comfy. Sink into the cushion and give yourself permission to take that rest. It's really important. So maybe you can write in the chat some ideas that you have. If you want to take a micro break at home, or if you're working and you are caring for folks, how can you do that? What are some ideas that you have? Deep breathing is another one that I think is essential. I do square breathing, particularly before I go into a challenging meeting or a difficult situation. I visualize my diaphragm, as a square in my belly. And I take a deep breath and I hold it and I count to 10. Then I go across, let it out, count to 10. Down, count to 10. Across, count to 10. If 10 seconds is too long, if you're not comfortable with that, make it 5. But be mindful about it. So that is another idea.
Hey, Breeda, I just want
Yes,
to pop in for a second. Say hi.
great.
We had someone that said, I sit on my deck.
Yes.
I think as part of that's their calm zone that they have. And I can tell you, as the father of 4 boys, you do have to find places to hide, but don't feel like you're hiding. I think self-care is a very, very important factor of life in general. I don't think it's necessarily just when you're taking care of someone, but that taking care of someone could be the 4 boys, it could be your parents, it could be your loved ones, it could be whatever it is. But really hitting home with that self-care.
It is. And, self-care is not selfish, it's survival. The thing is that nobody wants to be a cranky caregiver. And James, those are 2 brilliant ideas, that if you have a deck or a porch or a stoop or some place that you can open the door and physically go outside, maybe you can't leave, it's not safe. You can't go for an hour-long walk somewhere. You can't do that. If you can, please do. But if you can't, just going physically outside to a different space on your deck or wherever is absolutely brilliant. My husband really likes the garage. It must be a man thing. I don't know, that you have a nice house with a porch, and inevitably he just likes to sit in the garage. I don't complain. It's good, because then, separation is a good thing, particularly during COVID. So find your spot. Maybe it's a basement. And if you don't have one, maybe think about it. Be intentional. Say, what is a nice spot that I'd like to call your spot? Because when you go there, you can switch your brain to say, this is a time when I'm just catching my breath, because we have incoming all day long. We have so many worries. There's a reason that we're feeling like we do right now. This is a really hard time. It's a really hard time. And so we have to find as many creative ways as we can to take care of ourselves so that we are able to cope with it all, whether it's physical challenges, mental, emotional challenges, the worry about all the things that are going on in the world, and then layering the responsibility of being a caregiver on top of all that. Wow. And if you have small children and you're thinking about school, if you have college age kids and you're worried about them going to college, going away during this time, this is not normal. This is not regular worry. This is ramped up time. So if ever there was a time when you needed to be your best self, this is it. So I'm hoping you're going to get some ideas that really are going to help you. So when I think about micro breaks, so that's the kind of thing you need to plan for every day. And here's the thing, my mom used to love to travel, but I know when she got excited about going on a trip, just when she booked the trip, you know the feeling when you decided you're going on vacation and you're going to book the trip, you start enjoying it. The anticipation is as much, can often be better than the actual experience, thinking about it, right? Well, do the same thing for yourself every day with your break. So let's say at 3:15, I'm going to sit on my deck for 15 minutes and have an iced tea. I'm going to listen for the birds. I'm going to put the fan on. I'm going to find some shade. Maybe I have a novel. There's a book that I'm enjoying that is not particularly educational. Maybe it is light. Maybe it's something silly, something lighthearted, but that is going to be a bit of an escape for you. So whatever it might be, but if you know you have that to look forward to, that makes all the crud that you have to deal with before 3 o'clock that much more manageable, because there's that little light at the end of the tunnel that is manageable, doable, you've planned for it, because otherwise, you know what happens. The day just gets away from you. It just runs away because goodness knows there's enough people that need you to do things that you need to attend to. The world can live without you for 10 or 15 minutes, whatever the window of time is. So think about that. Do that every day. So I like to think of it in different chunks of time. Once a day, what's the break you're looking forward to? Once a week, what's a little bit bigger break? Maybe it's going for a drive. Maybe it is going for a bike ride. Maybe taking out a trip in a kayak, or finding some water that you want to go walk around a lake, a nearby park, something like that. And if you're able to organize care, some respite care, that's another idea. Once a month, maybe a road trip, maybe going to see, and you know, these examples have to be modified right now because of COVID. We always want to maintain safety. But if there are different things you could do, or maybe you're going to splurge and buy an audiobook and then listen to that audiobook when you go for a walk. Maybe that's something you would do for yourself once a month. Then every 6 months, maybe there's something even bigger, and ideally you're able to plan a little bit of a physical getaway, a vacation, whether it's going camping or going to an amusement park or a resort, or just spending time at a nearby a beach or a lake that you can enjoy nature. Nature is such an important thing. So we have so many constraints and concerns right now about taking breaks and about finding respite care. I get that. But let's find ways, at the very least, you can take mental breaks, okay? So we talked about mindset. Let's see. Yes, forgive me. This is my brand new deck here. What to do? We talked about that. Now here's my question for you. What is your superpower? I'm going to tell you what mine is right now. Brace yourself. It's pretty cool. My superpower is napping. Yes. I give myself the gift of a nap, not every day, but almost every day, for 15 minutes. I can fall asleep. I don't know whether it's self-hypnosis or what it is, and I do feel like I'm bragging, so please forgive me. But I can fall asleep and feel like it's the next morning. I can't tell you how many times when my kids were little, I took this little nap, my kids knew, and I woke up and I thought, oh, did I forget to make dinner? did I forget to pick them up from school? Something, because I was in such a deep sleep and it was only 15 minutes. But I found that when I didn't do that, when I was really tired, and it took me a while to give myself permission to do this, I was like the Energizer bunny, but the one where the bad one, you know, where the battery was dying. I was go, 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 go. And then it was, and I found that if I kept pushing myself, I was no good. I was not making good decisions. I was annoyed. I was cranky. It was just not good. So I could either push myself and think I'm being productive, or I could just take a stop and say, okay, even if I can't fall asleep, I can put my feet up. I could put a cold cloth on my head. I could do something that can allow me to just take it down a notch and just rest. So at the very least, if you feel yourself really running low on energy and you're able to do that, it's a wonderful thing. Set a timer so if you're worried that you're going to oversleep and actually miss a meal or picking someone up from someplace that's important, you know, that's frowned upon. I don't recommend that. So think about doing that. So in the chat, has anybody posted any things that they do to take a break to recharge their batteries? James, have you seen anything?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Just the one I sit on my deck was a good one, but I think if people want to share ideas of how they do cope with certain situations that they're in, this would be a great time to share it with others.
Absolutely. Because you never know you know what amazes me? I'll do something that I don't think is a big deal or is anything special. And I've shared that with someone and they say, that's a great idea. I never thought about that. So for some folks, it's baking, you know, not pie. Okay, not pie for me, but cakes. I'm good at cakes. I could do that. But for some folks, it's very relaxing, or a craft, or knitting, or playing cards, reading a book, watching. You can go on YouTube and you can watch situation comedies. And because there's no commercials, it's like 20 minutes and the show is over. And that can be a way to just escape. Find a way within your own home. Obviously, there's wonderful ways to take a break if you're able to leave your home. But that also means you have to make the arrangements and the plan. So what are some hobbies or superpowers that you have that you like to do that give you an ability to recharge your batteries? Anybody have any thoughts? Oh, maybe there are some comments there.
There are some comments. One is I run to clear my mind and settle my nerves. That's always good. Physical exercise is always good, and it makes you tired. So I would take a nap when my mother did. On my day off, I would buy little things that I knew mom would enjoy. It would give her pleasure when I came with chocolates and give me pleasure also. Another one says I call a friend. That's nice to have someone that you can lean on and communicate with. Sitting on my picnic table watching the chickens. That's always fun. Just sit with my pet and get that unconditional love.
Absolutely. Those are great ideas. Great ideas. Animals, they can lower your blood pressure. I mean, particularly if you like them. I mean, if you are afraid of cats or dogs, that's probably not a great idea. But your superpowers come in so many shapes and forms. And for what one person relaxes one, like baking pie, causes stress to another. So it's not a one size fits all. This is in something that someone else might think is not a big deal. But I love the idea of going and doing a little bit of retail therapy and finding something that you know is going to give your mom pleasure, chocolates. And then she has the opportunity, I'm assuming she would share them with you because, chocolate. But finding the thing, it's a double gift, isn't it? Finding just the right thing that is going to bring joy to someone else and then giving it to them and watching their expression is absolutely wonderful. Music is a great way to take a break. I have a friend who, when she is up to here with her kids and everything else, she gets in her car and she just puts on music and cranks it up, and she'll put on some Aretha or something really great, and she'll sing along at the top of her lungs. She feels so much better. James, I was on a call yesterday with a friend who was having a particularly hard time. I didn't have answers. I could not fix her problem. And that's not why she called me, but she needed a good ear. and she wanted to just talk about it. And she just said to me at the end of our call, you know what? I just feel so much better. And that can be true for you as well. If you keep it all bottled up, if you keep your worries and your stresses, the things that are in your head, number one, you might be making them worse than they really are. Once you say them out loud, they don't have the same power over you. So having just a chat on the phone is a wonderful, wonderful suggestion. So those are great ideas. Okay, I'm watching our time here. So how do you do it? Well, I think the thing here is we want to talk about your resources. It's really important to find resources that can help you. And I'm hoping in the chat, some folks might have some ideas. You can go on, there are a lot of different groups online that are great chat groups. Some are, there are a whole lot of different caregiver resources, parenting resources. Take your time, get to know the culture of the group, find out what their style is. Some are very raw and places for people to vent. That might or might not be the right spot for you to be in. Some are just very positive and offering a comfortable spot to land. Maybe that's a place that you want to be. Professionals, when I knew that I was overreacting to the whole situation of making an apple pie, I sought out a professional because I just knew it wasn't going to end well and that my reaction was not reasonable. And it was because I was so burned out and exhausted. So sometimes you really need to find a professional that can help you, or maybe you need to find a professional that can help your loved one. So whether it is finding organizations, places that can help you, and certainly James and all the good folks at CRC and Porter Hills know all about finding good resources that can help you in your role as a caregiver. Organizations, AARP, the Alzheimer's Association, the Area Agency on Aging, those are wonderful places to call. They have websites that have more resources than you might even know about that can help you. But there's also different groups. There's Jewish Family Services, Catholic Social Services, lots of different community support groups. James, is there anything there in the chat we want to share?
What is interesting is, and I hope everybody that is attending here knows this, that we at UMRC in Porter Hills don't want to be necessarily self-serving. I feel as if you choose one of our communities, that's great. And I make the joke that if we talk you into it and you live here and you don't like it, we see you every day. So if you're not happy, we see you every day. But there's a lot of other support systems. Home healthcare is another one that came up. To be able to have someone come in. I know my grandfather with my mother and my stepfather had someone come in so my mom and my stepdad could go out for a little bit and just try to get some time to themselves. And I remember my mom feeling so guilty about that. But honestly, that's really what probably kept her going, was that she had a little bit of a break to just go for a ride, to just do something a little bit different. So that home health care is a good one. There's indeed a magic to unburdening. I say to my friend, I don't need you to feel sorry for me or help me figure out what to do. I just need you to listen, because truly I feel much lighter after just telling my story. And as a guy, guys always want to solve all the problems, and I get that. But it really is nice to have someone to talk to. So this is really nice.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I have learned, I've been married for 36 years. So we'll tell, before I tell my husband about something, I'll say, I don't want you to fix it. You don't need to, make any suggestions. You just need to listen. And he says, okay, fine. And so, yeah, that is exactly the kind of thing. So there are resources. I remember there was a neighbor, a friend of mine who loved my mom. And she did one of the kindest things. There were these DVDs of a program. It was called Bally Kiss Angel. This is old. It was just a light comedy drama from Ireland. And it was really sweet, really charming. And my mom loved it. And my friend Joan went to the library and got these DVDs and just made it a time that on Thursday afternoon at 2, she would come over for an hour. And I wouldn't leave. because it wasn't a long enough time. But if I had to leave, I could have. But it was just companionship, and it was a gift. It was just a kindness that she spent this time with my mom, just sitting watching this lovely little program. It was a gift for me that I didn't have to think about her. I didn't have to deal with anything. And if I wanted to take a nap, I could. If I wanted to do some work or just attend to anything. And so it was such a winning situation. And I think Joan enjoyed it as well because she truly enjoyed my mom's company. So maybe there's someone you know that you could welcome into your home who might like to do that. Maybe you would do that and trade off with folks. Who knows? But there's lots of ways to not spend money, not make it a big complicated thing, but you need to think of it and you need to be proactive. You need to pick up that phone and call someone when you want to have a chat, and be able to share. I think those are really great ideas. Anything else pop in, James?
Not yet. I would like to share though is whenever something happens to someone, in our family, whenever somebody's ill or getting a surgery, whatever it is, we like to make food. But there's times where people need other forms of support. And I think, some people are maybe too proud to ask for help or just see that as a weakness. But honestly, I think it's okay to ask for help because people do want to help you. And I've heard people say, "Oh, here's Mary, and Paul really isn't doing very well, and I really want to do something for Mary, but I'm afraid to ask." I think don't be afraid to ask. If your heart tells you that you should be helping someone or doing something for someone, I think you reach out. How that person receives that is up to them, but at least you may feel as if you're giving a little bit of something. For anyone that's on this that has been through it before, which we hear of, I did this for my mother, I did this for my father, whatever it may be. Sometimes remembering that scenario and that situation that you were in and being able to share some knowledge or even just say, "Hey, how about I come over and play chess? How about I go for a walk? How about whatever it may be," and give you a little bit of a break. And they're the types of things that people really need, or just, they have to take a break.
It's so true. And it is such a gift to when someone wants to help. Don't be that person that says, oh no, I don't want to bother you, I'm fine. Because this other person who's offering something, they want to give you a gift. And if you turn them away, you might hurt their feelings. So don't think that you are being weak or that it's not appropriate. If someone offers to do something and you think it's an appropriate thing to do, the gracious thing to do and the loving thing to do is to say, yes, how about Tuesday? Or something. Be gracious about the gifts that are offered to you. And then when you have the opportunity to offer to do something for someone else, it's funny, what is a lot of work, what is a big problem for you might be someone else's very favorite thing to do. And if they offer it, it's really wonderful if you're able to find a way to accept that. I hope that I have shared some good ideas, some good thoughts, and mostly it is about mindset. And I really want to leave you just with this thought of this very happy woman making an apple pie. That what are the apple pie opportunities for you? Things that people that would put a smile on their face. People have called me and said, "You know what, Breeda? I called my dad and he has a family recipe for sauce. And I'm going over there next Saturday and we're gonna make it together." Because here's the thing, it was never about the pie. It was about making the pie. So if you can find a way to make a memory, to bring someone back to a time in their life that they felt so proud, that they felt really that this was one of their shining moments. What a gift for them, and what a marvelous gift for yourself. But you have to have the mindset to be able to put the other stuff aside, to feel well enough, to feel secure enough to take a break before you break. So that's what I have to offer today. If there's other questions, James, you can go ahead and ask them if anyone wants to ask any questions. I'm not in a hurry. I'm happy to stick around for a few minutes and answer anything you have.
So I don't see any more questions coming through, Breeda. That was a very, very good presentation. Now, is there one more slide for how to contact
You know
us?
what? That was the one. I'm apologizing because I'm not seeing it here when I reloaded them. Can you share that the contact information?
No, that's okay. We have everyone's email address,
Okay, good.
and everybody, I think, has pretty much probably already been contacted by someone in our organization. I want you to know that our organization looks at this as we are building a relationship with you. This isn't a sale, anything like that. We really are genuinely concerned about issues that you have, and we want to help. And if you ever want some information or a resource or whatever it may be, please reach out to us. We will be reaching out to you after this via email to send you this link, as well as to answer any questions that you may have. So, all right. So I think we're all done here. So thank you very much, Breeda. Thank you everyone for attending. We really appreciate it, and I hope everybody has a good day.
Thank you so much, and take a break before you break.